Have a seat, please.
Case 3182, Grayjack versus LL Biani.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Grayjack, you were married to him?
Yes, Your Honor.
From when to when?
Short marriage from September 2014. Our divorce was finalized December of 2016.
And that marriage produced a child?
Yes, Your Honor.
That child was born in what year?
He was born in the fall of 2015.
This is an interesting case in an area that I'm somewhat familiar with. When your divorce was final, according to you, you got full custody of your son, correct? And there was issued at some point a permanent order of protection that kept your husband, Ibiani, away from you and the boy.
Yes, Your Honor.
Who issued that order and when?
An emergency order of protection was issued in May of 2016, which was later, after a hearing, made a 5-year restraining order protecting both myself and my child.
You remember that order, sir?
Yes.
You remember that trial?
Yes.
Now, the 5-year order issued included the boy.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have a copy of that order?
I do, Your Honor.
I'd like to see it.
The 5-year?
Yes.
Okay. So it was originally issued and then amended to the final 5-year.
Before I look at this, I just want to lay out the facts of the case. It is your claim that the defendant's actions by continuing to file cases against you is harassment and abuse of the system, and that because of his stalking and harassment, you've had to move, lost work, and his behavior by this harassment and stalking and multiple filings of multiple cases when there is no basis for filing is nothing more than really aggravated harassment. The defendant has a counterclaim due to mental distress and kidnapping his son. That's what his counterclaim is. Is there any decision other than this order?
So I have some decisions that were made later on as far as like our minute orders from hearings. I also have criminal protective order that protects my son.
I object, Your Honor. There's no criminal protective order that expired in 2020.
That doesn't make any difference whether it expired, sir. It existed. You, I understand. A court issuing an order that precludes a father from seeing his child, and this case gets more complicated because his parental rights were terminated. With his consent, he signed off on terminating his parental rights, and the child has subsequently been adopted by your husband. That puts the case sort of in context. Do you have your judgment of divorce?
No, Your Honor.
The judgment of divorce was 2016.
Yes, Your Honor.
Who got custody of the child? Was it joint custody?
No, he never. From day one, I've had sole custody, physical.
Physical and legal?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, is that correct, Mr. Ebiani?
Yeah.
Now, you remarried in what year?
I remarried in March of 2018.
Do you have any children from that marriage?
No, Your Honor.
You still married?
No, Your Honor. That's what comes into play for the upcoming harassment that's been recent. We separated in December of 2021. Our divorce was finalized in May of 22.
Okay, so the person who adopted your son is no longer your husband?
Correct, Your Honor. But
Okay.
he's still the legal father.
I understand that. Did you remarry?
I get married next week.
And I see you're expecting.
Yes, Your Honor.
When?
Next month.
Okay. In what month and year did the defendant agree to terminate his parental rights?
February of 2022.
No, that's not correct. January 2019.
January 2019.
Yes.
Where was it that you actually, was it in a lawyer's office? Was it in a courthouse?
San Diego Courthouse, North County.
So you appeared before a judge,
Yes,
and the judge asked you questions.
correct.
And when the judge asked you questions, because I'd been there, the judge had to tell you that once you've agreed to terminate your parental rights, you are free from the obligation to support the child?
Correct.
The judge told you that? That you have no rights to see the child?
That's incorrect, actually.
You mean the judge didn't explain to you that once you terminate your parental rights?
I have here the adoption agreement. It allows me visitation time.
May I see? Okay. This is very clear, sir. It doesn't say what you indicate. It says any contact between the boy and his cousins shall be arranged through the mothers. Future contact between the boy and the respondent or extended family members, respondent, that's you, may be arranged provided there is no restraining order or criminal protective order in place, and as long as desires and initiates such contact.
Correct.
Not you.
I understand.
And doesn't give you any rights.
Correct. But it doesn't specify who can be the custodian on that, and I asked the court for a guardian ad litem to make the determination.
You asked that of the court in what year?
October 2023.
And this agreement, which is a settlement agreement, was 2021.
Let's call it what it is. It's blackmail because...
I'm going to finish with this part of it.
Yes.
This agreement's 2021.
Correct.
And the last order of protection expired when?
I have a permanent order of protection.
For you?
And my child.
Is that here?
Yes, Your Honor. It's the final one from August of 2022, I believe. And when that termination agreement was signed, the criminal protective order protecting only my son was
Just a second. Would you ask her to just give me the order that makes it permanent in favor of herself and the child? Unless, of course, you acknowledge that there is a permanent order of protection.
I acknowledge it, ma'am.
Okay,
but
never
I'm not
mind.
acknowledging 2022.
Don't speak. I'm just saving myself a little time, sir.
Melissa Graycheck has accused her ex-husband, Adham Elabiani, of harassing her for custody of their son. Adham is countersuing, claiming Melissa forced him to give up his parental rights.
Okay, there is a permanent order of protection in favor of the plaintiff and the child, and you are the respondent.
Correct.
And it is a no-contact order.
Correct.
Okay, so this settlement agreement that you entered into, sir, says that any future contact with you may be arranged provided there is no restraining or criminal protective order in place.
Correct.
And initiates the contact.
Correct.
So there is a permanent restraining order in place. You have no right to seek anything with regard to this child. As long as that permanent restraining order is in place, there's nothing here that gives you any right to file cases.
Correct.
I'm just telling you.
Yes.
That's the law. That's what your settlement agreement says.
Correct.
You agree with that?
Of course.
And you would agree that you have filed multiple proceedings in order to see your son. How
One.
many?
No, Your
Only one.
He's filed 2 petitions in the state of Arizona and 1 petition in the state of California.
That's incorrect, ma'am.
I have a copy of it.
I'd like to see them. You sure? 2 in Arizona, 1 in California after your parental rights were terminated.
I filed to request that the restraining order be set aside.
Just a second. You said 1. She says 3. There's a difference. 1 and 3.
This is first Arizona, California, and second Arizona.
Two. That would be 3.
That's one hearing, ma'am.
Well, it would be 3. 2 in one state, 1 in another state. Where do you work, sir?
Oh, I'm self-employed.
Where's your office?
I have a home office
Where's your home?
in Georgia.
Now, I'm going to tell you, you have no right to have any contact with her or your son. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
Very good. And you did have contact, ongoing contact with her when there is a permanent restraining order in favor of her and your son to keep you away.
Correct.
You have a defense?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
I'd like to hear, because what your defense here is that you were forced to sign a document terminating your parental rights, and the courts should vacate it.
No, I did not ask for that.
Well, what did you ask for?
My ask of the court was not to vacate this order. I do not care about vacating this order. My ask of the court was to set aside the restraining order and hire a guardian ad litem to see if my son wants to see me or not.
And the judge said?
The judge said that the statute of limitation on that has passed, that I should have filed an appeal back in 2020. So,
Judge, all I had to do is read your settlement. The settlement says that you cannot move to see your child unless, 1, there is no longer a restraining order in favor of the child.
Correct.
The only thing that you can do to mitigate this settlement agreement is to go back to the court and say, I'm moving to vacate the order, the permanent restraining order. It's going to be denied, so you could save yourself some money. And then I would ask the court to assign a guardian ad litem to see if my son wants to see me.
That's exactly what I did.
Just a second. They didn't vacate the order.
No.
Well, then you can't file.
I didn't.
That's
what happened. That's exactly what happened in March. And I did not file anything since then, ma'am. She's doing this because I filed one time in 4 years a request to set aside the restraining order so I can see my son that she has kidnapped.
Okay. I'm not getting into that.
If I may add.
Yes.
So because he has fought the restraining order over and over and over again since it was issued in 2016, Mr. Libiani was actually declared vexatious litigant in the state of California in 2019. And then he was declared again.
That was in 2019.
I have a copy of that
I'd like
order.
to see it.
I also have a copy here. This is my permission to grant me to file for this, as granted by the judge.
While she's looking for that order, sir, I would just like to know, can you tell me, you haven't seen your son since 2018 and have had no communication with him?
Not by my choice.
Of course by your choice, sir. Of course it's by your choice. You agreed to terminate your parental rights and have no rights whatsoever to see him.
No, ma'am, that's not what happened.
He is on the list in San Diego Superior Court, the date being December 12th, 2019. He was added to that list.
Just a second. So in 2019,
yes,
you were added to the list of people who could no longer file any actions relative to this case in the state of California.
Without permission of a judge.
And some judge who didn't read it right gave you permission. Ultimately, you were told you can't file here.
No, ultimately I was denied because I should have appealed the order.
Oh, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Go, let me see it.
So this is the order that lists him as vexatious litigant.
Sir, you have any other children?
Yes.
How many?
2 more.
How old are they?
4 and 5.
Where do they live?
With me.
Are you married?
No, divorced.
You got custody?
No.
Correct.
No, Your Honor. My witness is...
Just let him answer. Let him answer, please. You are the primary custodian of those children?
For the past 3 years. For the past 4 years.
Where is their mother? Oh, that would be you?
That would be me, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Stand up. You have 2 children?
We do.
4 and 5 years old?
Yes, ma'am.
Do they live with you?
We have a No.
That's my question.
Yes, ma'am.
Just follow me. They do not live with you?
No.
And they have not lived with you for the last 4 years?
Incorrect.
When was the last time they lived with you?
They do. We do have an order. It's a temporary order. They do come see me on a frequent basis.
I didn't ask you whether
Lived with me 2021.
2020.
So for the last... Whatever. For the last several years, their father has been their sole custodian.
Not by my choice, no.
Who cares by whose? It had to be by a judge's choice.
Yes.
And however, judges usually say, we're supposed to say, we see no different in the sexes, mother, father, nobody has greater rights to a child, mother or father. Most judges say, you know, if there's nothing wrong with the mother, then little kids should be, and the children were little then, we're going to let these little children be raised by their father. The father whose parental rights were terminated, and not only parental rights terminated, but a final order of protection exists in favor of a child who is older than your children.
I do have something to say. This is all temporary in the state of Georgia.
I want to tell you something, madam. 3 years isn't temporary. If I didn't see my dog for 2 days, I would say to myself, what happened? My life is over. I don't... Sit down. I got it.
Okay.
Sit.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Melissa Grayjack claims her ex-husband, Adham Elabiani, has used the court system to harass her for many years. Adham is countersuing for emotional distress, claiming Melissa refuses to let him see their son.
Okay.
Judge, can I say something, please?
I'm just looking at this. This court has substantial concerns about the respondent's inability to understand the consequences of his behavior, although the respondent has shown an ability at times to regulate his behavior.
There was judicial misconduct in my case, to the point where I shouted at this judge and his bailiff in the courtroom. And this is what he is referring to. And this is why he punished me and prevented me from having my son. Has nothing to do with serious actions of mine.
What prohibited you, Mr. Elbiani, from having your son was the fact that you agreed to terminate your parental rights.
That's incorrect, ma'am.
Just a
Since
second. And you
2016.
said, just a second. And you said that your defense to her action was that you were blackmailed. That's what you said to me.
Correct.
And the reason you were blackmailed is because she said you're going to have to support him to the tune of $50,000. And that was enough for you to say, okay, where do I sign? Just show me where I...
That's incorrect, ma'am.
Let me see what it says.
$40,000 in 3.5 years.
Eventually, Melissa was able to adopt my son with her new husband because she blackmailed me. She said that if I didn't sign the paperwork, I would have to pay $50,000 in child support, which she knew I didn't have. She had attorneys, and I couldn't afford a lawyer at the time, so I signed the paperwork.
She filed to hold me in contempt of the court order. And at the time, I was a green card holder. So she used that, and if I violated that, I would have been deported.
Take this back.
And,
Okay.
Your Honor, he had an attorney for the adoption. I have a copy of his attorney, the court assigning him one.
Did the court assign you an attorney for the
Of
adoption?
course.
Okay. So you were represented by counsel.
Correct.
Good. Okay. It's a particularly sad case, but not very difficult to rule on. You may have made a mistake when you consented to terminate your parental rights. May have, which allowed for your son to be adopted. You can't continue to torture her. Don't speak. I'm ruling now. So you can't continue to torture her. And there has to be some financial consequence for you because 2 judges have already told you you have to stop annoying her.
Actually, no, ma'am.
Don't.
She asked for
Hey,
double jeopardy, ma'am.
What part of my mouth don't you understand? This is not a back and forth anymore. Now I'm ruling. And what I'm telling you is, sir, this is my ruling.
And that's an incorrect ruling.
This is my ruling. This is my ruling.
judge already denied her sanction.
Listen to me. This is my playpen. They cut off your mic.
Correct.
So it's like my not hearing you. I'm ruling now, and I'm telling you that I am awarding her $5,000 to send a message to you. Do not bother her again. However, so that's my judgment. I'm dismissing your counterclaim as of no merit. But what I'm suggesting to you is, and this is just a suggestion, he clearly, in the mind of some judge, was sufficiently fit to be a full-time custodian for 2 small children because she may have had. I don't know what kind of problems she had, but to grant custody to a father who has a protective order for another child permanently during his minority, it must have been some beaut of evidence. Don't shake your head. So all I'm saying to you is, I'm not so sure that somewhere down the line, your son would like to be able to see all of his half-siblings, the ones that you're going to have and the ones that his father has. Maybe.
Yes, Your Honor. The mother and I have talked, and when it is safe, that is definitely something we're open to.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
That's my ruling. Judgment for the plaintiff, $5,000. Thank you.
Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
It's double jeopardy. She was denied sanctions before.
He has no interest in my child. He just doesn't want. He wants to punish me by making sure I can't have access.
I mean, they are both scorned women.
He's just trying to control the situation, the people, the kids. He wants to control everybody. And if it's not going his way, it's a problem for him.
I just want to see my son. That's all I want. Just see my son.
I don't foresee an end coming, but we'll keep doing whatever we can to protect our kids.
The thing I'm sure you're also wondering is how a judge would grant the defendant permanent custody, physical and legal, of 2 younger children when there's an outstanding permanent restraining order, which is not a low burden to meet to receive a permanent restraining order, especially for a biological child. So I'm just wondering if that was an oversight on the judge that granted him the custody of the 2 younger ones, or maybe the plaintiff's witness, the mother of those children, really had a record that we didn't see, because I can't think of a reason why I or you or any judge should be granting that sort of custody to someone who had this outstanding permanent restraining order.
Don't know, except she was probably a beaut with something. And as between foster care and state care and father, the court granted him custody, and it's evidently been without incident over the last 3 years because he still has physical custody. But I think what I said at the end of the case, aside from the fact that she was right, he's making a life a living hell. Since he is raising these 2 young children, and these 2 young children are siblings of this point, they should consider it. And I see that these 2 ex-wives have at least been talking with regard to that.
You know, I would agree, and I usually agree with that sentiment of the children always come first and they should meet their half-siblings. But I think there's a lot underlying that permanent restraining order that we did not hear here today.
Right.
So you never know what's going on. But she seemed open to it when it was safe,
did.
so that was at least...
Freshly painted, because you added an addition, so it was just painted. And he vandalized it by throwing paint on it and some fencing or some wall. And the defendant's mother says he wasn't the instigator. He did, in fact, do it, but she was going to clean it off. And she thought your estimate to fix it was too high. So, what's your first name?
William.
Stand up with your mother. You're 10?
11, ma'am.
Tall for 11.
Thank you.
Okay. So, on what date did you vandalize the plaintiff's house?
Not sure.
What month was it?
December.
Saturday or Sunday?
Pretty sure it was a Sunday.
Do you remember what time?
No.
Morning, afternoon, night?
Morning, transitioning into the afternoon.
What were you doing outside? Did your mother tell you to go outside?
Yes.
And who did you go outside with?
My friend.
Did you take your bikes or did you walk?
Bikes.
And you went over to where the plaintiff's house is, and there's also a construction site. So I want you to go over there and show me where you and your friend went. All right. Now, point to the plaintiff's house. Okay. So you went to the house next door?
Yes.
Were they doing construction at the house next door?
What do you mean by that? Like, people there currently?
You threw paint on the plaintiff's house. Where did you get the paint from? Show me in that picture. That's what I thought. So you got the paint from somebody else's house.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand? He got the paint from somebody else's house and took the paint to the plaintiff's house.
Can I clarify?
Sure.
My understanding is he did not vandalize her house. He vandalized the other house.
Well, you don't know that at all, actually. You don't know that at all because you weren't there. You don't know that at all.
Based on the evidence and what my son said, that it is true he vandalized one house and the other kid vandalized the other house.
Okay. Now, come over here. If you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory. Take the pen and show me where you walked and where you got the paint. You walk there, and then stop where you got the paint. You got the paint there. How many cans of paint were there?
4.
4. So there were 4-gallon cans of paint?
No.
How big?
Yeah, big, not very big.
4. So you each carried 2?
No, I took 1, he took 3.
And what was your intention when you took the 1?
Use it on this house.
Use it for what on the house?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I wasn't really thinking.
When did you and your friend separate?
About right there.
And show me where you stayed and show me where your friend went. What is that with the pen? You stayed where?
Here. Went here.
And you let him go there all by himself?
Yes.
I don't believe a word of that. Give me my pen back. Give me my pen back.
Yes, ma'am.
Now you can go stand with your mother. You have an estimate to paint the house.
Yes, ma'am.
Now you can go stand with your mother. You have an estimate to paint the house.
I do.
May I see it, please? And I'd like to see the photographs.
Absolutely. I have an estimate for the repainting as well as the north side of my house. The fence was splattered with paint as well. And then I had 6 boxes of flooring that were damaged. And
let me just
I have all of that. And here is the damages.
And the estimate that you got was $3,800, and you said that the other people paid $1,900, which is half. Okay.
Correct. And then I received an invoice for the fence painting, which I didn't have initially, and as well as the flooring.
That's too bad. $1,900, which, as you said, is half the estimate. Now I want to see. Okay. So now I have this question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
When you came home, your mother said to you, you have paint on your shoes, right?
Yes.
And she asked you what happened. How'd you get paint on your shoes? Tell me what you told her.
I told her that I went over to the house down the road.
You got it at the house down the road?
Yes.
You had to have told her more because she went with you to where the damage was to the house, and you started cleaning it with your mother, correct?
Correct.
And where did you start to clean with your mother first? Because pay careful attention, because when the plaintiff came home, she found you and your mother cleaning the house in the back. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So now what I want you to do is show me when you and your mother first came to the property, where did you show her the damage was? Go over there. Show me where you told your mother the damage was.
Here and here.
Well, how did you know the damage was there? You said that you didn't go there. How did you know that there was any damage there?
Tanya Labriola claims her neighbor, Noel Chang, owes for property damage after her 11-year-old son, William, vandalized her house.
Now, you said that you stayed right in the back of that first house, and your friend went all the way up. Don't raise your hand. And your friend went all the way around the house with the 3 cans of paint that he was carrying. You only had 1. So how did you know that there was any damage to the plaintiff's house?
Because
Now, to you is, when you pulled up in your driveway and found the defendant's mother and this young man cleaning your house, where were they cleaning? Show me.
Okay, the mom was over here and her son was over here.
So the son was cleaning the house that he allegedly had nothing to do with vandalizing. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Step back. You two. Anything else you want to tell me?
No, ma'am.
You know, I sort of know that this is the last time, at least I believe that this is the last time you're going to be in court like this. I sort of have that here because I think that this was an unpleasant experience both for you and your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you get older, you realize that you don't want to repeat unpleasant situations because you get embarrassed. Your mother is embarrassed. I mean, your mother had other things to do rather than putting on plastic gloves and going scrubbing off latex paint on somebody else's house that day. So if you do the wrong thing happens. Now, if you do the right thing in life, it's not a guarantee that everything will go well for you. But I'm going to tell you, it's a damn good start. So if you try to do what is being a good citizen, what's being a good person, what's being a good neighbor. Do you live in a house?
Yes.
Does your mom own that house?
Yes, but I think she's still paying her mortgage.
Well, that she owns it if she's still paying a mortgage, but that's observant. So she owns her own house.
Yes.
How do you think she would feel if somebody came and threw paint on her house?
Upset.
Right. Because she's paying a mortgage. She wants it to look nice. She wants you to have a nice place to live. So you seem like a nice young man. And you have to realize there are repercussions when you do the wrong thing. This lady had a house. She built an extension. She repainted the house. And somebody comes along and for sport vandalizes it with their friend. Because this was what we call a joint venture with your friend. Then you had to get your mother involved. This was on a weekend?
Yes.
So on a day when she doesn't work, she would ordinarily clean her own house. So instead she had to get all dressed and ready and go and scrub a stranger's house. Not fair, right? Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,900. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
Devastated because I'm a teacher, a single mom of 2, and I've been working for years to save. I work 2 jobs, so it's heartbreaking.
Ultimately, I'm the one who is going to be responsible for paying this bill.
No, I think they were just 12 or 11, whatever age they were, and just wanted to do what they wanted to do.
I hope this will put me on the path to do the right thing, and hopefully I really, really will try my best to not make this kind of mistake again.
That actions have consequences.
Ready to put it behind me.
Oh, how you love the youth and to set them on the right path. path. That was a very well-spoken, seemed confident, smart 11-year-old.
Yeah.
And I think you scared it into him to make the right choices. And this seemed like a one-off type situation for him. It didn't seem like this was a trait that he carries on daily, in his regular life. And you never know. This experience for him might just be the thing that keeps him from ever doing anything like this again. It might be the little voice over peer pressure, over, instigation that could save him from making another mistake in his young years.
I used to say that in family court all the time, that I thought it was unwise to allow young people like this or a little bit older who committed these acts of vandalism, knocked over somebody's vegetable cart,
Case number 3096, Corcoran versus Curry. All parties, please step forward.
Christopher Corcoran is suing his former employee, Joshua Curry, for unpaid legal fees.
Mr. Corcoran, the case is relatively simple and straightforward. It is your claim that the defendant owes you for legal fees that you paid on his behalf.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Curry says that there was never an agreement to pay you anything, and you paid legal fees for him for a criminal matter because he was such a valued employee that without him, your business couldn't function.
That's very true, Your Honor.
Okay, so that's relatively easy. How long did you work for Mr. Corcoran, Mr. Curry? From when to when?
For August of 2020 until September of 2023.
And how much did you earn?
200 to 300, depending on how long it was.
So you want to tell me when you got into some legal trouble?
It was July 5th morning, about 4 o'clock in the morning. I had heard some news from one of my friends passing away from a motorcycle wreck, and I was a little emotional, went on a motorcycle ride myself, and the police tried to pull me over, which I made a bad decision and didn't pull over.
Well, let's go back a second. I just want to make sure I'm hearing it right. You got some very bad news that a friend of yours had been killed in a motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
And you were very upset about it.
Well, emotional, yes.
You were upset about it, hadn't been drinking.
Nope.
No drugs.
Nope.
So at 4 o'clock in the morning, you decided to go on a motorcycle ride.
Yep.
Where did you take your motorcycle for a ride?
I was just going for a ride through Marymount.
And is that a big town or a little town?
It's a small little town outside Cincinnati.
And the police must see you because you're going to tell me what happened when the police tried to pull you over.
Well, there was like a medium from one direction to the other from the way the cop was coming. I wasn't speeding. I wasn't doing anything illegal. They busted you. He came up behind me and was trying to pull me over for what I thought for no reason.
So the police were trying to pull you over while you were riding your motorcycle?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened?
Emotions got the best of me. I flipped the bird and just took off.
Okay.
Christopher Corcoran claims his former employee, Joshua Curry, owes for attorney fees he loaned to Joshua.
So you made a middle finger gesture.
Yes, ma'am.
And took off on your motorcycle.
That's right.
How fast did you take off?
I probably hit 100 miles an hour at some point.
So now you're driving 100 miles an hour through this small town in Ohio. Police try to pull you over. High-speed chase. They finally got you to pull over.
Yes, ma'am.
And they arrested you.
Well, they impounded my bike, and they actually took me home once they realized that I didn't do anything wrong.
Don't tell me what they realized. You can't tell me what they realized. They impounded your bike.
Yes, and they drove me home and gave me failure to comply.
So they gave you a ticket.
Well, it's a ticket, which was a misdemeanor ticket, yes.
Were you originally charged with a misdemeanor or with a felony?
I think it was a misdemeanor. It was a misdemeanor.
Let me see what you're looking at. Okay, so at some point, you got in touch with your boss. Mm-hmm. Tell me when that was.
Probably later on that evening, that day. And I told him I was in trouble. Yeah.
And at that point, did you ask him to do anything for you?
Not at that point, no.
At what point?
I don't really remember. It was just more or less like, we're going to handle this. You know, we'll make sure everything's okay kind of conversations.
Okay. Now I'm going to come to you, Mr. Corcoran. First of all, you have a business that is what?
It's a commercial construction. We had set up pallet racking and warehouse.
When did you start the business?
2008.
Is the business still ongoing?
Yes.
And it's still ongoing, so you've managed to keep your business even after this valued employee is gone.
Yes, Your Honor.
So I have to tell you something, Mr. Curry. The only time that you become indispensable is when the show has your name on it. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Other than that, everybody can be replaced. I say that because your defense is, because what Mr. Corcoran did is he contacted a lawyer on your behalf, and that's the money he wants. And your position was you never asked him for it, you just did it. Okay, so you tell me about the conversation that you had with Mr. Corcoran when he called the next day.
He called me and told me that pretty much verbatim.
Exactly what he told me.
He went to court. He called me after court. He said, I don't know what to do. He said, they told me to come back with an attorney.
So now he's going back and he said to you, this is bad. I have to go back to court. They told me to come back with a lawyer. Did you tell him that?
Well, yeah.
And you said to him?
I said, let me make a phone call. I'll get in touch with my attorney. He'll call you, get your side of it, and we'll go from there.
So you called your lawyer.
So I called my attorney. He called Mr. Curry. They spoke. He called me back. He says, Chris, this is bad. This is bad. He said, he's going to do some time on this.
And then?
He said, he said he doesn't have any money, and he told me $6,000. So I told Mr. Curry, and he says, well, I don't have that. I said, well, I'll take it out of your check, and on we went.
Is that what he said to you?
Well, that's not really how I remember the conversation, but, I mean, it was a couple years ago.
I would like you to tell me how, Mr. Curry, you remember the conversation.
Well, I just remember him saying that, I have a friend that's a lawyer. We'll take care of this. We'll get it handled.
Well, Mr. Curry, what I'm asking you is, you're not related to him. You're not his brother. You're not his cousin. You're not his son-in-law. You're an employee. If you knew about the amount of money, $6,000, why in the world would you think that he was just going to cover that for you?
I mean, he brought it up to me after the fact that it was paid. Like, I didn't have a chance to say yes or no to $6,000.
Well, you knew the lawyer wasn't working for nothing.
Well, I completely understand that. But I also thought the way that he would approach me was like, we're going to take care of this.
Okay. May I see the invoice from the attorney and a copy of your check? You have a copy of your check?
No, I paid cash.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, well,
Your Honor.
This doesn't do it for me, sir. Show me where you took $6,000 from.
Out of my safe. I mean, I keep a lot of cash on hand at the house.
Well, I'm not believing you, sir. I'm going to tell you I'm not believing you. Because there's no reason why you would pay a lawyer in cash. For somebody else, when the somebody else is expected to pay you back, so you have absolutely no proof that you paid anybody. You loaned somebody money to pay a lawyer. You pay that lawyer by check, and you have proof of it. There's a possibility that you did lay out some money for him, for a lawyer. I don't believe it was $6,000 because this is not a lawyer's invoice.
I can get him on the phone.
Oh, no, I'm absolutely positive that you can get somebody on the phone, sir. Unless I have proof that the amount of money that you laid out for Mr. Curry, I'm dismissing your case without prejudice. You go and plead it to somebody else. I don't buy it. We're done here.
This court is adjourned.
If you're making a loan to somebody, especially in a case like this where there was no family relation, no, like you said, no particular reason why the plaintiff would just out of the kindness of his heart step up and pay this bill, I would want a paper trail or 2 or 3 to ensure that they could not go back on their word to repay you for the loan that you so nicely laid out for them. And I found it almost as odd as you that he paid cash and didn't even have anything as far as a handwritten note that said, I paid this to the lawyer on this day, signed by someone. It doesn't even have to be official, but just pulling $6,000 out of your safe in cash, it's less than what we needed for his loan.
You know, what's interesting, Sarah, is I actually think he got a lawyer to go in with him on what was a ticket.
Yeah.
But certainly no lawyer would say, oh, that's very serious. He's looking at serious jail. That's baloney. unless there was another charge there. But I don't see why a lawyer would demand $6,000 in cash. It doesn't make sense to me.
And if it doesn't make sense,
it's not true. Mr. Valdez, from when to when did you work for Mr. Huntsman?
Sometime early July to November 1st.
Of 2022?
2022, yes.
And in September of 2022, what was the address where you were living?
September 1st, it was Midvale, Utah.
And how long did you live there?
I'm still currently living there.
And in order to get that apartment, you needed security deposit.
Yes.
Now, you were working for Mr. Huntsman and doing insulation.
Yes.
And he wanted you to be a worker, and you wanted to be a worker. You have children, one or more?
2.
Do you have a wife? Is not an answer.
She's a girlfriend, sorry. Yeah.
You have a girlfriend. Is she the mother of the 2 children?
She is.
Does she work?
She does.
And you don't work anymore. You are a stay-at-home dad.
Currently, yes. I do what I can.
You needed security deposit for this apartment when you moved in.
I didn't need it.
Well, in order to live there, you had to have security deposit.
Yes.
And you didn't have it.
Correct.
And the total security deposit that was needed for this apartment was $2,800.
Correct.
You were also living there, in addition to your girlfriend and 2 children, with one other employee who was a friend of yours?
It's my cousin's boyfriend, but also a friend, yes.
He was eventually evicted from the apartment.
He was.
Now, you took from Mr. Huntsman the $2,800, which is currently with the landlord.
It is, yes.
And according to what I read, the money was going to come from your work.
Yeah.
For Mr. Huntsman.
Yes. Oh, could we back up just a second?
Sure.
Could we ask that question one more time? Just so I know.
The money was supposed to come. Listen, he didn't give you $2,800. I want you to understand that right now. That's not going through my mind.
Okay.
This is a very smart old mind.
Okay.
I can understand that you needed an apartment. You needed a place to live. He wanted you to come to work for them, and he advanced the money for security deposit so you had a place to live.
Yes.
That's what happened. And then the next month, you decided to be a stay-at-home dad.
I had no option.
I don't care. What does that matter to Mr. Huntsman? Do I care? Does Sarah care that you had no option? Whitney doesn't care. Not even Kevin cares if you have no option.
Okay.
Nobody cares if you have no option, especially a stranger. Tell your girlfriend to get 2 jobs. You get 2 jobs, put your kids in daycare.
Okay.
That's what people do when they need money.
I didn't need the money. It wasn't for me.
What do you mean it wasn't? You're still living in the apartment.
Yeah, I know it wasn't.
Just a second. You're still living in the apartment. The landlord still has the $2,800 that he gave you.
Yeah.
And giving it to you with the idea that you were going to be an employee. That's what you said in your answer. That's why I don't understand you, Mr. Valdez. You said that in your answer, that he gave you the money because he wanted both you and your girlfriend's cousin, whoever else moved into the apartment with you, he wanted you to come to work for him, and it was important enough for him, you say, to make a gift for you of $2,800 because he needed you to be a good worker. That's what you say in your answer.
Yeah.
And then you quit.
I did.
A month after you got the money, you quit. That's this timetable.
Yeah, but there's some context to it that you're not picking up on.
The context was?
The context was that I had the money for my half. My cousin and her boyfriend did not have the money to come up with the other half.
Did you use your money? Now, my question, did you
for
use...
my half, yes.
Did you? So you used your $1,400 for your half? Is that what you're telling me?
I used $2,500 of my own money for my half because after the background checks came and the credit checks came, it went from $1,400 to $2,550.
Was that for rent or security?
Security.
Show me a check where you used your money for the security. Then I'm going to dismiss his case.
September 2022. At the top is some money that we moved from our accounts from our credit. So I had to move some funds around. Here's your pen. I had to move some funds around to cover our end. And then slightly after that.
There's a difference between security deposit and rent.
Yeah.
Well, I see a deposit here, September 3rd, 2022, $1,400. Where'd that come from?
That would be the first check I received from Vince.
And then I see another deposit on August 19th, $1,400.
Yes.
Where'd that money come from?
That came from Vince as well.
Okay. $2,800, judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished here.
This court is adjourned.
You know, I've always been, I own my own business, and I like to see people succeed and help them out.
He gifted us the money, hands down.
Hopefully you just can't keep doing it to people over and over and over and over. And then you can move on with this life and be a better person, period.
I guess I just got to make better decisions, really.
I actually thought that was hysterical because in the defendant's paperwork, he acknowledged that the plaintiff really wanted him as a worker, and therefore he made a gift to him in anticipation of him being a worker for him of this deposit. And then a month later, he quit to be a stay-at-home dad.
It's convenient when your debt that's owed is tied to your wage payments.
Yeah, right. Very convenient. Oh my God, I don't know what these people are thinking.
The audacity.
Yes. I always find that fascinating when people just take advantage of good nature.
But then don't even see it themselves as taking advantage of good nature.
No, I had to. I had no choice.
I had no option, no choice. It's the problem with today, I think.
हाय गाइस, आप लोगों ने देखा होगा कि इस मूवी में एक भूत किस तरह लड़कियों को मारता है। सबसे पहले वो एक लड़की को मारता है, इस तरह उसकी दूसरी दोस्तों को पता चल जाता है। वो देखकर बहुत परेशान होती है, देखती कि उसकी गर्दन को वो काट देता है। उस बेचारी के साथ इस तरह जुल्म होता है। देखते ही उस लड़कियों की जो इंचार्ज होती है वो भाग जाती है। मसलन जो भाग जाती है उसे पता होता कि यहाँ पर भूत है, लेकिन वो दूसरी लड़कियों को नहीं बताती जिसको वो ट्रेनिंग दे रही थी फिटनेस की, वर्जिश कराने की। इस तरह वो खुद तो बचकर भाग जाती है, लेकिन दूसरों को फंसा जाती है। आगे देखते हैं कि वो दूसरी लड़की को मार देती है। कुछ दिन बाद वो जो पहले इंचार्ज भागी थी वो ना जंगल में जा रहे थे, दो आदमी मिलते हैं, वो उसे देख लेते हैं। वो बहुत परेशान होती, भाग रही थी, वो उससे डर कर भागते भागते उसका बुरा हाल होता है। देखते उसकी बहुत आगे जाकर वो दो आदमियों को बताती है कि हमारे घर में भूत है, उसने एक लड़की को मार दिया, मैं वहाँ से भाग आई हूँ, अब हम बहुत परेशान हैं। तो वो दो आदमी उसकी मदद के लिए उसके साथ आते हैं, लेकिन वो रोकती है कि आप वहाँ न जाओ, कहीं आपको भी न मार दें। लेकिन वो दोनों किसी की नहीं सुनते हैं। इस तरह वो वहाँ से भाग जाते हैं। आकर वो देखते कि एक लड़की मरी होती है, उस तीन दोस्तें उसके साथ दोस्त उसके साथ बैठी होती हैं। तो वो देखता है, एक तो आदमी उस लड़की के पास आ जाता है, दूसरा आदमी घर में तलाशी करने लगता है, देखता क्या मामला है। इस तरह वो देखता है कि वो देख रहा होता, घर की तलाशी ले रहा होता है, उसे वो भूत नज़र आ जाता है। वो भूत देखते ही भाग लगता है, भागते भागते उसी कमरे में जा गिरता जहाँ उसने वो पहली लड़की को मारा था। जब भी वो मरता था तो एक रेड कलर का रंग फैल जाता था। इस तरह वो ना उस कमरे में चला जाता है, लेकिन वहाँ पर भूत कुछ टाइम के लिए नहीं आता। वो परेशान हो जाता कि ये क्या हुआ, दरवाज़ा बंद हो, दरवाज़ा खोल कर बाहर आता, सीढ़ी पर एक लड़की लेट रही होती है, परेशान हाल होती कि मेरी मदद करो मेरी। इस तरह वो उसकी मदद के लिए आता, वहाँ पर देखता है कि वो लड़की उसकी पेट पर अपना खंजर लगा हुआ है। वो देखकर बहुत परेशान होता है, लेकिन वो तो भूत होता है। जब उसकी शक्ल चेंज हो जाती है, वो बेचारा डर के मारे फिर भाग लगता है। वो भूत उसके पीछे, वो जाकर उसके पेट में कैंची लगाती है भूतनी, और उसके सर में। इस तरह वो उसका सत्यानाश कर देती है। आगे उसका दोस्त देखने उसको आता है, देखता तो वो तो मारा हुआ होता है, उसके सर में खून लगा होता है, कैंची जोर से लगी, खून निकल रहा होता है। इस तरह वो पागल हो जाता है अपने दोस्त के पीछे। आगे फिर वो लड़की एक और लड़की को मारने के लिए आती भूत नहीं, तो उसको मारने लगती है, लेकिन वो कहती मैं प्रेग्नेंट हूँ, मेरे पेट में बेबी है, प्लीज़ मुझे छोड़ दे। वो उस पर तरस खाकर छोड़ देती है उसे, लेकिन उसकी एक और दोस्त के पीछे लग जाती है, उससे कभी काम तमाम कर देती है, उसे मार देती है। मारते मारते आखिरकार वो सोचती है अब इस शख्स से छुटकारा कैसे पाया जाए। वो जिस शीशे में आईने में रहती थी वहाँ पर वो आग लगा देती है, वो आईना जल जाता है, लेकिन वो वहाँ पर मरती नहीं, भूतनी जो होती भूत होता है वहाँ पर मरते, वहाँ से भाग जाता है। आगे नेक्स्ट पार्ट के लिए आप हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें और मज़ीद ऐसी वीडियोस देखने के लिए बेल आइकन को दबा दें। हाय गाइस, आप लोगों ने देखा होगा कि इस मूवी में एक भूत किस तरह लड़कियों को मारता है। सबसे पहले वो एक लड़की को मारता है, इस तरह उसकी दूसरी दोस्तों को पता चल जाता है। वो देखकर बहुत परेशान होती है, देखती कि उसकी गर्दन को वो काट देता है। उस बेचारी के साथ इस तरह जुल्म होता है। देखते ही उस लड़कियों की जो इंचार्ज होती है वो भाग जाती है। मसलन जो भाग जाती है उसे पता होता कि यहाँ पर भूत है, लेकिन वो दूसरी लड़कियों को नहीं बताती जिसको वो ट्रेनिंग दे रही थी फिटनेस की, वर्जिश कराने की। इस तरह वो खुद तो बचकर भाग जाती है, लेकिन दूसरों को फंसा जाती है। आगे देखते हैं कि वो दूसरी लड़की को मार देती है। कुछ दिन बाद वो जो पहले इंचार्ज भागी थी वो ना जंगल में जा रहे थे, दो आदमी मिलते हैं, वो उसे देख लेते हैं। वो बहुत परेशान होती, भाग रही थी भूत से डर कर। भागते भागते उसका बुरा हाल होता है। देखते उसकी बहुत आगे जाकर वो दो आदमियों को बताती है कि हमारे घर में भूत है, उसने एक लड़की को मार दिया, मैं वहाँ से भाग आई हूँ, अब हम बहुत परेशान हैं। तो वो दो आदमी उसकी मदद के लिए उसके साथ आते हैं, लेकिन वो रोकती है कि आप वहाँ न जाओ, कहीं आपको भी न मार दें। लेकिन वो दोनों किसी की नहीं सुनते हैं। इस तरह वो वहाँ से भाग जाते हैं। आकर वो देखते कि एक लड़की की मरी होती है, उस तीन दोस्तें उसके साथ दोस्त उसके साथ बैठी होती हैं। तो वो देखता है, एक तो आदमी उस लड़की के पास आ जाता है, दूसरा आदमी घर में तलाशी करने लगता है, देखता क्या मामला है। इस तरह वो देखता है कि वो देख रहा था, घर की तलाशी ले रहा होता है, उससे वो भूत नज़र आ जाता है। वो भूत देखते ही भाग लगता है, भागते भागते उसी कमरे में जा गिरता जहाँ उसने वो पहली लड़की को मारा था। जब भी वो मारता था तो एक रेड कलर का रंग फैल जाता था। इस तरह वो ना उस कमरे में चला जाता है, लेकिन वहाँ पर भूत कुछ टाइम के लिए नहीं आता। वो परेशान हो जाता कि ये क्या हुआ, दरवाज़ा बंद हो, दरवाज़ा खोल कर बाहर आता, सीढ़ी पर एक लड़की लेट रही होती है, परेशान हाल होती कि मेरी मदद करो मेरी। इस तरह वो उसकी मदद के लिए आता, वहाँ पर देखता है कि वो लड़की उसकी पेट पर अपना खंजर लगा हुआ है। वो देखकर बहुत परेशान होता है, लेकिन वो तो भूत होता है। जब उसकी शक्ल चेंज हो जाती है वो बेचारा डर के मारे फिर भाग लगता है, वो भूत उसके पीछे। वो जाकर उसके पेट में कैंची लगाती है भूतनी और उसके सर में इस तरह वो उसका सत्यानाश कर देती है। आगे उसका दोस्त देखने उसको आता है, देखता तो वो तो मारा हुआ होता है, उसके सर में खून लगा होता है, कैंची जोर से लगी, खून निकल रहा होता है। इस तरह वो पागल हो जाता है अपने दोस्त के पीछे। आगे फिर वो लड़की एक और लड़की को मारने के लिए आती भूतनी, तो उसको मारने लगती है, लेकिन वो कहती मैं प्रेग्नेंट हूँ, मेरे पेट में बेबी है, प्लीज़ मुझे छोड़ दे। वो उस पर तरस खाकर छोड़ देती है उसे, लेकिन उसकी एक और दोस्त के पीछे लग जाती है, उससे कभी काम तमाम कर देती है, उसे मार देती है। मारते मारते आखिरकार वो सोचती है अब इस शख्स से छुटकारा कैसे पाया जाए। वो जिस शीशे में आईने में रहती थी वहाँ पर वो आग लगा देती है, वो आईना जल जाता है, लेकिन वो वहाँ पर मरती नहीं, भूतनी जो होती भूत होता है वहाँ पर मरते, वहाँ से भाग जाता है। आगे नेक्स्ट पार्ट के लिए आप हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें और मज़ीद ऐसी वीडियोस देखने के लिए बेल आइकन को दबा दें। हाय गाइस, आप लोगों ने देखा होगा कि इस मूवी में एक भूत किस तरह लड़कियों को मारता है। सबसे पहले वो एक लड़की को मारता है, इस तरह उसकी दूसरी दोस्तों को पता चल जाता है। वो देखकर बहुत परेशान होती है, देखती कि उसकी गर्दन को वो काट देता है। उस बेचारी के साथ इस तरह जुल्म होता है। देखते ही उस लड़कियों की जो इंचार्ज होती है वो भाग जाती है। मसलन जो भाग जाती है उसे पता होता कि यहाँ पर भूत है, लेकिन वो दूसरी लड़कियों को नहीं बताती जिसको वो ट्रेनिंग दे रही थी फिटनेस की, वर्जिश कराने की। इस तरह वो खुद तो बचकर भाग जाती है, लेकिन दूसरों को फंसा जाती है। आगे देखते हैं कि वो दूसरी लड़की को मार देती है। कुछ दिन बाद वो जो पहले इंचार्ज भागी थी वो ना जंगल में जा रहे थे, दो आदमी मिलते हैं, वो उसे देख लेते हैं। वो बहुत परेशान होती, भाग रही थी भूत से डर कर। भागते भागते उसका बुरा हाल होता है। देखते उसकी बहुत आगे जाकर वो दो आदमियों को बताती है कि हमारे घर में भूत है, उसने एक लड़की को मार दिया, मैं वहाँ से भाग आई हूँ, अब हम बहुत परेशान हैं। तो वो दो आदमी उसकी मदद के लिए उसके साथ आते हैं, लेकिन वो रोकती है कि आप वहाँ न जाओ, कहीं आपको भी न मार दें। लेकिन वो दोनों किसी की नहीं सुनते हैं। इस तरह वो वहाँ से भाग जाते हैं। आकर वो देखते कि एक लड़की की मरी होती है, उस तीन दोस्तें उसके साथ दोस्त उसके साथ बैठी होती हैं। तो वो देखता है, एक तो आदमी उस लड़की के पास आ जाता है, दूसरा आदमी घर में तलाशी करने लगता है, देखता क्या मामला है। इस तरह वो देखता है कि वो देख रहा होता, घर की तलाशी ले रहा होता है, उसे वो भूत नज़र आ जाता है। वो भूत देखते ही भाग लगता है, भागते भागते उसी कमरे में जा गिरता जहाँ उसने वो पहली लड़की को मारा था। जब भी वो मारता था तो एक रेड कलर का रंग फैल जाता था। इस तरह वो ना उस कमरे में चला जाता है, लेकिन वहाँ पर भूत कुछ टाइम के लिए नहीं आता। वो परेशान हो जाता कि ये क्या हुआ, दरवाज़ा बंद हो गया। दरवाज़ा खोल कर बाहर आता, सीढ़ी पर एक लड़की लेट रही होती है, परेशान हाल होती कि मेरी मदद करो मेरी। इस तरह वो उसकी मदद के लिए आता, वहाँ पर देखता है कि वो लड़की उसकी पेट पर अपना खंजर लगा हुआ है। वो देखकर बहुत परेशान होता है, लेकिन वो तो भूत होता है। जब उसकी शक्ल चेंज हो जाती है, वो बेचारा डर के मारे फिर भाग लगता है। वो भूत उसके पीछे, वो जाकर उसके पेट में कैंची लगाती है भूतनी, और उसके सर में इस तरह वो उसका सत्यानाश कर देती है। आगे उसका दोस्त देखने उसको आता है, देखता तो वो तो मारा हुआ होता है, उसके सर में खून लगा होता है, कैंची जोर से लगी, खून निकल रहा होता है। इस तरह वो पागल हो जाता है अपने दोस्त के पीछे। आगे फिर वो लड़की एक और लड़की को मारने के लिए आती भूत नहीं, तो उसको मारने लगती है, लेकिन वो कहती मैं प्रेग्नेंट हूँ, मेरे पेट में बेबी है, प्लीज़ मुझे छोड़ दे। वो उस पर तरस खाकर छोड़ देती है उसे, लेकिन उसकी एक और दोस्त के पीछे लग जाती है, उससे कभी काम तमाम कर देती है, उसे मार देती है। मारते मारते आखिरकार वो सोचती है अब इस शख्स से छुटकारा कैसे पाया जाए। वो जिस शीशे में आईने में रहती थी वहाँ पर वो आग लगा देती हैं, वो आईना जल जाता है, लेकिन वो वहाँ पर मरती नहीं, भूतनी जो होती भूत होता है वहाँ पर मरते, वहाँ से भाग जाता है। आगे नेक्स्ट पार्ट के लिए आप हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें और मज़ीद ऐसी वीडियोस देखने के लिए बेल आइकन को दबा दें। हाय गाइस, आप लोगों ने देखा होगा कि इस मूवी में एक भूत किस तरह लड़कियों को मारता है। सबसे पहले वो एक लड़की को मारता है, इस तरह उसकी दूसरी दोस्तों को पता चल जाता है। वो देखकर बहुत परेशान होती है, देखती कि उसकी गर्दन को वो काट देता है। उस बेचारी के साथ इस तरह जुल्म होता है। देखते ही उस लड़कियों की जो इंचार्ज होती है वो भाग जाती है। मसलन जो भाग जाती है उसे पता होता कि यहाँ पर भूत है, लेकिन वो दूसरी लड़की को नहीं बताती जिसको वो ट्रेनिंग दे रही थी फिटनेस की, वर्जिश कराने की। इस तरह वो खुद तो बचकर भाग जाती है, लेकिन दूसरों को फंसा जाती है। आगे देखते हैं कि वो दूसरी लड़की को मार देती है। कुछ दिन बाद वो जो पहले इंचार्ज भागी थी वो ना जंगल में जा रहे थे, दो आदमी मिलते हैं, वो उसे देख लेते हैं। वो बहुत परेशान होती, भाग रही थी भूत से डर कर। भागते भागते उसका बुरा हाल होता है। देखते उसकी बहुत आगे जाकर वो दो आदमियों को बताती है कि हमारे घर में भूत है, उसने एक लड़की को मार दिया, मैं वहाँ से भाग आई हूँ, अब हम बहुत परेशान हैं। तो वो दो आदमी उसकी मदद के लिए उसके साथ आते हैं, लेकिन वो रोकती है कि आप वहाँ न जाओ, कहीं आपको भी न मार दें। लेकिन वो दोनों किसी की नहीं सुनते हैं। इस तरह वो वहाँ से भाग जाते हैं। आकर वो देखते कि एक लड़की की मरी होती है, उस तीन दोस्तें उसके साथ दोस्त उसके साथ बैठी होती हैं। तो वो देखता है, एक तो आदमी उस लड़की के पास आ जाता है, दूसरा आदमी घर में तलाशी करने लगता है, देखता क्या मामला है। इस तरह वो देखता है कि वो देख रहा होता, घर की तलाशी ले रहा होता है, उसे वो भूत नज़र आ जाता है। वो भूत देखते ही भाग लगता है, भागते भागते उसी कमरे में जा गिरता जहाँ उसने वो पहली लड़की को मारा था। जब भी वो मारता था तो एक रेड कलर का रंग फैल जाता था। इस तरह वो ना उस कमरे में चला जाता है, लेकिन वहाँ पर भूत कुछ टाइम के लिए नहीं आता। वो परेशान हो जाता कि ये क्या हुआ, दरवाज़ा बंद हो, दरवाज़ा खोल कर बाहर आता, सीढ़ी पर एक लड़की लेट रही होती है। परेशान हालत थी कि मुझे मदद करो मेरी। इस तरह वो उसकी मदद के लिए आता वहाँ पर, देखता है कि वो लड़की उसकी पेट पर अपना खंजर लगा हुआ है। वो देखकर बहुत परेशान होता है, लेकिन वो तो भूत होता है। जब उसकी शक्ल चेंज हो जाती है, वो बेचारा डर के मारे फिर भाग लगता है। वो भूत उसके पीछे, वो जाकर उसके पेट में कैंची लगाती है भूतनी, और उसके सर में। इस तरह वो उसका सत्यानाश कर देती है। आगे उसका दोस्त देखने उसको आता है, देखता तो वो तो मारा हुआ होता है, उसके सर में खून लगा होता है, कैंची जोर से लगी, खून निकल रहा होता है। इस तरह वो पागल हो जाता अपने दोस्त के पीछे। आगे फिर वो लड़की एक और लड़की को मारने के लिए आती भूत नहीं, तो उसको मारने लगती है, लेकिन वो कहती मैं प्रेग्नेंट हूँ, मेरे पेट में बेबी है, प्लीज़ मुझे छोड़ दे। वो उस पर तरस खाकर छोड़ देती है उसे, लेकिन उसकी एक और दोस्त के पीछे लग जाती है, उससे कभी काम तमाम कर देती है, उसे मार देती है। मारते मारते आखिरकार वो सोचती है अब इस शख्स से छुटकारा कैसे पाया जाए। वो जिस शीशे में आईने में रहती थी वहाँ पर वो आग लगा देती हैं, वो आईना जल जाता है, लेकिन वो वहाँ पर मरती नहीं, भूतनी जो होती भूत होता है वहाँ पर मरते, वहाँ से भाग जाता है। आगे नेक्स्ट पार्ट के लिए आप हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें और मज़ीद ऐसी वीडियोस देखने के लिए बेल आइकन को दबा दें।